Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Every person or every one of us would like to know what position do we possess in this world and what position we'll end up with spiritually in the life hereafter. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created this beautiful world around us with bounties of facilities for all living beings, wherein human being the most primary creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are blessed with so many facilities, so many things around us. And every person thinks that he is the best. He possesses the best qualities compared to others. Because the mind lives in a paradigm where it ensures, it confers the person that you are the best among the lot. However, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has kept a mirror inside us which will actually tell what we truly are from deep inside, what we truly are as a person and what we truly are spiritually, what position, what rank do we hold spiritually. Subhanallah. Imagine a person typically always has couple of traits. One is the characteristics of this person and one is the personality of this person. To give you an example, when you look at an iceberg in the ocean, you look at the upper part of the iceberg as a tip, which is above the ocean, which is a smaller portion. When you actually go inside the ocean, deep inside the ocean and look at the iceberg, it has a huge base hidden inside the ocean. This is what exactly for every person, the hidden base, the huge base is the character. And what is visible on the top is his personality. Sometimes personality can be deceptive because it can always be different in different situations. Every individual or a person reacts with his mental capability, with his ability to adapt to situations, and his personality changes accordingly. However, the character is the core part which is deep inside the person, and this character is developed with his upbringing, the family traits, the early stages of his life where the character is built. It is very easy to adapt and change personality of a person, but it is extremely difficult to change anything which is in his character. However, Sufism or spirituality tries to work on this core of the person, which is the character of the person, evaluating the characteristics that it emits and then eliminating the worst part which will actually lead to failure and ensuring that this character becomes brightened so that the person is successful eventually. Let me quote you a small story which was written in the book of Shibli Nomani, a scholar and professor in his times, quoting that once upon a time in the court of Sultan Mahmud Ghaznavi, all his ministers were present, all his advisors were present, there was a huge crowd, and then Sultan Mahmud Ghaznavi says in his court that, is there anybody in this court who can help me in meeting Hazrat Khizr alayhi salam? When he said that, all his ministers were quiet, all his advisors were quiet. But then suddenly one person, a commoner, gets up and he says, I can do it for you, Sultan. And the Sultan says, okay, what are your conditions? The person says, I have to go to the bank of a river and do prayers for 6 months so that I can enable a meeting between you and Khizr alayhi salam. But I'm a poor person. My kids, my family will not have any ration and they will actually strive with hunger if I do this. And the Sultan Mahmud Ghaznavi agrees to provide the food and the ration for his family for 6 months. And the person now goes to the bank of the river and gets into his prayers. As the time passes by, 6 months, post 6 months, this person is brought into court of Sultan Mahmud Ghaznavi, and he says, okay, what about the meeting now? And then the person says, he says that, oh Sultan, I still need 6 more months because some of the prayers I did went wrong. I need to do it again. Hesitantly, Sultan agrees. And further 6 months, his family was given ration and all, and he goes to the river and he gets himself busy in the prayers. Now 1 year passes by, and then this person is brought back to the court of Sultan Mahmud Ghaznavi, and then the king says, okay, what about my meeting with Hazrat Khizr alayhi salam? And this poor person starts crying and he says, O king, I am a sinner. I am just a poor person. I was not able to feed my family. So when you asked the question, I thought about this as an opportunity to enable my family with some ration so that they can survive. I am a sinner. Where is my position and where is Khizr alayhi salam? Apparently, Sultan Mahmud Ghaznavi, he gets very angry. He looks at one of his ministers and asks, what do you think should be the punishment of this guy who lied to me? And this minister, he says, O Sultan, since the guy has lied to you, we have to behead this person. Give him the punishment of death by beheading. Now there was a saintly person sitting in the court, an old man with a lot of holiness on his face. Now this saintly person says, yes Sultan, your minister is right. And then Sultan looks up at another minister, and this minister, the second one, says, no Sultan, we should not behead him immediately. We have to throw him in front of dogs so that he dies after some time and he suffers the pain because he has cheated you for so long. And again, the same saintly person, he says, yes, this minister is right. He should be punished this way. And then Sultan Mahmud Ghaznavi looks up at his advisor, one of his favorite advisor. His name was Ayaz. He says, Ayaz, what do you think about it? And then Ayaz says, O Sultan, for 1 year, the family of this poor person was living from your rationing. Nothing has affected your treasures. Nothing has affected your wealth. Just that a poor family was being fed for 1 year. So please pardon him and let him go. He did this unintentionally. He did this for his family. And then again, the same saintly person says, yes, Ayaz is right. He should be pardoned. And Sultan Mahmud Ghaznavi gets confused. He asks a question to the saintly person saying that, how come you're saying correct for everything, all the 3 suggestions that I got? And the saintly person replies saying that, O Sultan, the first minister you asked the question with, who said the guy should be beheaded, belongs to a family of butchers. Obviously, that trait would be there with him, and that is the reason he said we have to behead this person. And the second minister you asked the question with, who said, no, we have to throw him in front of the dogs. Now his father was a dog trainer to kings. They used to hunt and play with dogs. That's what they have done all their life. And that is the trait in this person. That is the reason he said, okay, we have to throw him in front of the dogs. Then the saintly person said, it is your fault putting such people in such positions. That is the reason your people are starving. Allahu Akbar. And then he says, what about Ayaz? Then the saintly person says, Ayaz is a Sayyazada. His roots are into the families of the Prophet. And obviously, they never seek vengeance. They never seek punishment. Rather, they forgive. And similar to Hussein alayhi salam in Karbala, he was not after vengeance. Even after all the tyranny done by the others, he still has forgiven everybody. Subhanallah. And then Sultan Mahmud Ghaznavi suddenly moves towards Ayaz and says, Ayaz, you're a Sayyazada, you never told us. That's when Ayaz says, this was one of the secret. And since this saintly person has informed everybody that I am a Sayyazada, let me also tell you, Sultan, this saintly person is no other guy but Hazrat Khizr alayhi salam. Subhanallah. So typically, whatever we try to hide our character inside and define a personality, or we choose to show a personality of ourselves to others. But deep down, whatever is built up in our character stays there. And in times of pressure, in times of reactions, in times of decision making, in times of dire requirement, our character will actually emit, and we try to make decisions based on our character. This is the reason Sufism or spirituality focuses more on enlightening these characteristic traits that every person possesses. Believe me, even though we are born human beings, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if we listen, if we are bound by our desires, our lust, our self-ego, our nafs, and we live a life according to that, then on the day of resurrection, on the day of Qiyamah, we will be we will possess a face of a pig. Astaghfirullah. Now, pig is not a bad animal because of its face. Pig is bad animal because of the character it possesses. It is always after the lust. It's always after the bad things. It is always in dirt. And if we are bound by our anger, we are blindfolded by anger, and we live a life with more of being a reactive person, by more of being an angry person, then on the day of Qiyamah, our face will turn into a face of a dog or a wolf. Allahu Akbar. This is one of the reasons why when we talk about a dream narration and somebody says, I have seen a pig in my dream, it is related and it is narrated as a lusty person, a person with bad character. And if somebody says, I've seen a dream where I've seen a dog or a wolf, then it is narrated as it is a cruel person or a tyrant person. Allahu Akbar. Now, believe me, in our body, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created our body, and imagine this as a kingdom. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created one special thing inside us, that is a heart. In spirituality, that is referred as qalb, which has to be the ruler or sultan or the king in our body. But there's always, the fight for the power. Your self-ego, your nafs will always try to rule this kingdom. Sometimes the anger tries to rule this kingdom. The devil inside you, the khannas will try to rule your kingdom. And believe me, the characteristics that we emit will actually tell us who is the ruler inside this kingdom. Nobody else needs to tell us what we are. When we sit alone, we evaluate ourselves. We try to evaluate, okay, how do I react to such situations? How do I react to people? How do I react to somebody asking for help? How do I behave with my associates? How do I behave with my subordinates? How do I behave with my family? How do I behave with my children? How do I behave with orphans? How do I behave with society in general? When we try to evaluate our behavior, all those trends will actually tell you who is the ruler inside your body. And that will define your success in this world and hereafter. Believe, if you are bound, and if your nafs, your self-ego is ruling inside your body, that means you're always after your desires, your wants. You do not care what is right, what is wrong. You're just after your desires, you're just after your wishes. That means the nafs of the self-ego has taken over the throne inside you. And the characteristics that you will emit will be shamefulness. You'll always be happy when something bad happens. You'll always go behind your lust. You'll always go behind your wishes, try to grab things, whether it's right or wrong, whether it's rightful or not for you. And if you try to suppress this, if you're successful being suppressing your nafs, your self-ego inside you, then the characteristics that you will emit will be modesty, will be purity. You'll be happy at seeing good for others. Subhanallah. And if the anger inside you becomes the king, and you are a slave of your anger, then you'll always be an egoistic person, an arrogant person. The characteristics that you'll emit will be arrogance. You'll be always a proudy person. You'll try to insult others always. You'll feel happy when you try to show others nimble in front of you. And if you are able to manage your anger inside you, if you're able to suppress this anger inside you, then the characteristics that you'll emit, you'll be a humble person. You'll be always be a helpful person to others. You will always be a respectful person to others. You'll react to situations with knowledge. And if the devil inside you takes over the throne, then the characteristics that you will emit will be you will be a fraudulent person. You'll always try to cheat people. You'll always lie. Now imagine lying, which has become such a social problem. Even in Islam, Nabi Kareem Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam says, if a person is lying, lie is like a termite which will eat the wood from inside. It is the same thing. Lie is a termite to your iman. Allahu Akbar. It eats away your iman. So when the devil is ruling inside you, you'll always lie, you'll cheat people, you will quarrel for no reason, you'll try to create problem among people, you will create quarrel among people. These are the traits that you will show. Whereas if the heart or the qalb becomes the king in the kingdom of your body, then the characteristics that you will emit will be holiness, innocence, peacefulness, patience, always helpful to others, and the most important, being grateful to whatever you're blessed with. Subhanallah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put this mirror inside us so that our conscious can tell us what we actually are. Are we in the right path or are we in the path of the failure? Nobody needs to tell us what we are. We can evaluate our own self by looking at our characteristics that we possess. And based on our evaluation, if we possess any such traits which are harmful, which are, directing or pointing towards either the devil or the anger or the nafs, through spirituality, through Sufism and the blessings of Peer Tariqat, by his teachings, following the teachings of Peer Tariqat, regularly practicing meditation, regularly being thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for everything that He is blessing you with, we can eventually work out and change these characteristics on the successful path so that we can be successful in this world and the hereafter. And spiritually, we can increase our rank, we can grow in our rank spiritually by building these traits, by building these characteristics in our personality. So I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to safeguard us from the evils of devil and the nafs, to enable us, to give us the power so that we can conquer our anger, and bless us with His Noor so that we can make our heart, the qalb, as the king in our body and the kingdom. Ameen Ya Rabbal Alameen. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.